Hi guys, and it's Eric here. I'm just going to be doing a little bit of a brief overview on playstyles in-game and how to better yourself in surviving. So, recently there's been a lot of updates. They've added a new weapon, the SLR, which takes 7.62mm rounds, and then, they've also added a new mode called War. Great mode, but it depends. It depends on if you're actually good at it at all. Okay. I'm not ready. Okay. Moving along now. So, playstyles I'm going to be discussing I want to say there's 2 to 3 playstyles in general for most people. So the playstyle that I like using the most is mainly to get in onto the map, grab what I can get on the far end of the map, in the far corners of the map, get into the zone if I'm not in the zone, and slowly make my way towards the middle, killing whoever's in the way. So normally I don't get high kills. So that's a survival. I call that the survivalist playstyle. Mainly because your main thing is to grab meds, grab some ammo, grab some good guns, and you usually would try to get a 4x or 8x, however you want to do it. You usually want to have a long range weapon, and you usually stay in the back. So those guys are the ones that usually will survive to the end point. But there are a few others that will go with a different playstyle, but this playstyle is mainly suited for people that know what they're doing, usually people that are long bombers, snipers, etc. They're usually suited to this, and they're really good at what they do at a long range. I think my longest shot was around, I want to say 700, 800 meters out was my longest shot. And I was using a SKS modified. Moving along now, that's just one playstyle right there. That's the survivalist playstyle. You usually sit in the back. You usually have plenty of meds. You'll find them running around with about 8 med packs, 4 or 5 energy drinks, and about 3 or 4 painkillers, and plenty of other meds, including bandages. I would say about 10 bandages on average. They normally will be the ones running around with a level 3 backpack and pretty much almost no armor, unless they can find some armor real quick. They're usually the heavily geared guy, and they're pretty good. They're somebody you want to have on your team because they're more likely going to survive. Now that's just for one playstyle. The other playstyle that I have in mind is a combination. Well, it's not a let me get to the other playstyle. The other type is Berserker. I call it the Berserker style because you essentially drop down into highly populated areas, and you're really, really good at CQC. So your main thing is to get a short-range weapon such as the AKM, or like the UMP9, the Vector, something fast shooting right off the bat. You're usually going to get like the first 4 kills. You're going to be within the first 4 kills at least, or the first 10. And those are the guys that usually run about with Uzis and fast SMGs or fast AKMs, and they run around with pretty much nothing on, or whatever they can grab on sight, and run around, kill whoever they can get within the region, and then they'll slowly sweep the region and pick up whatever is left. So these are the guys that are pretty tough and hard, and they're really fast in reactions, and they're really hard to get. They're really hard to kill when you're up close. They're usually the ones they'll spot you when you're within 45 meters. 45 to about 100 meters is their good range. They're more than likely going to kill you within that range because they've probably already seen you. And last but not least, the last playstyle there is what I like to call the medic. Essentially, this guy, no joke, will run around with maybe a pistol, an SMG, and maybe a rifle. He doesn't usually have sights, but he'll usually run around with some mirror red dots and something to help him aim, for the most part, something. But otherwise, he's about mediocre in both long and mid-range combat, but his main deal is that he's carrying a ton of meds. He's usually going to be carrying a crap ton of meds. And very rarely will he actually be wearing a level 3 bag. More often than not, you'll see him running around with a level 1 or level 2. But these guys are pretty good in surviving because they're just the in-between. They know how to fight both ways. And they both know, and they're kind of, they're kind of average. So they're not always going to survive. They're usually guys that die around mid-game. So around when you have about anywhere from 40 to 60 players, these are the guys that are going to die off, and when you're coming down to about 40 players. Normally you'll see them around 60. You'll see them running around 60 to 70. Those guys are usually the ones that drop out. Not a lot of guys, but they're there. So for playstyle wise, I suggest for optimization of playstyle, weapons wise, we're gonna get into the armory real quick. AKM, definitely one of the choice of weapons you want to see among those who are in CQC. This is a really strong weapon. Does a lot of damage, but it's got a heavier recoil, and it's really good when close range, because when you're that close and you put down 7.62 rounds down into somebody's chest, they're more than likely going to die before they can stick any 9mm rounds in you. So you usually want to see the AKM. Another good one to have would be the Scar L, but I don't really like having the Scar L, although it's much more stable. The damage is not as much, as you can tell with the AKM. AKM has slightly more damage and also slightly more recoil. However, the Scar L will fire a little faster. That's the only thing that keeps the Scar L in competition, and it fires a little faster. Firing speed for the M16A1 is low, but its range is definitely higher than that of the M416, which is its companion. M416 is a much more stable version of the M16. It's much more versatile. This gun is usually the best used for both CQC and long range, but it doesn't have as much range as the M16. The M16 will hit just slightly further, about a couple meters. I want to say about 10 to 15, maybe even 20 meters difference. That's not much, but when you're shooting up a hill, yeah, it's gonna cover that distance. You want the M16 on you rather than M416. And the only reason I would also pick the M16 over the M416 is controlled burst. You're putting 3 rounds down range rather than 1. Although I do like the M416, it's very versatile, and I like its control and stability when you're putting down shots down range. However, it's just a matter of opinion. Getting into the SMGs, most common weapon you're going to see everybody grab when they first land, especially for you berserkers, you guys want to get these weapons. You guys want to grab the Uzi, and you also definitely want to grab the UMP9. I really like the UMP9 mainly because you can easily just run away with a red dot, suppressor, quick draw extended, and I normally prefer to go with a vertical grip. So that's what my weapon would look like close range. That's what I expect it to be. It's really good. It's really good and handy. It's got a really stable build and definitely high fire rate. Occasionally, I like using the thumb grip. For another good weapon, although I don't suggest this, mainly because the Uzi and the UMP9 have a much better capacity. Although the UMP9 does lose the stability to the Vector has a bit of a weakness. Its main weakness is the fact that its capacity is really, really low. I'm not kidding. This damn thing's only got 13 rounds to go. Now, if we put the tactical stock, we put the tactical stock on it, which is good. Now that increases your recoil control just a little bit. I put a vertical grip on board. Now, for the Vector, you definitely want to get a extended mag at the very least. Muzzle wise, I'd go with the suppressor. Sights, normally I would go with a 3. I would try to prefer to get a 3x, mainly because of the stability of the weapon. Allows it to shoot a little further. So although the range is not much, you want a 3x or you want at least a red dot on it. So for SMGs, I prefer using a red dot or a smaller sight. Occasionally I will go for the holographic, although I find the holographic sight to be a little I just don't like it. You can tell why. It's a kind of a ridiculous sight. It's a little boxy. Not a real fan of it. I prefer the cleaner red dot sight. That's just my opinion. That's just my preference. But for SMGs, you want them close range. Definitely close range. They're really good for close range. For close quarters combat. You want to be able to get a good solid range for you newbies. I would want to say is anywhere from about 20 to about 20 to 80 meters. It's about the effective range of the Vector right here. The UMP9 effective range is a little shorter, about 60 meters, but that's only because of its high capacity. So it has a higher capacity when you get it all up and ready to go. And it's got plenty of control. Plenty of control, so your recoil, what you want for when you're firing, you want to slightly just move it down just a bit as you're firing, and you'll fire up. You're more likely going to land more shots onto the body than they will as they fire at you from downhill. It depends on how you're firing, situational wise. It's up to you guys, depending on how you pick your fights. I usually prefer picking my fights up from going downhill, shooting down range, and occasionally shooting up range at somebody who's exposed. But that's just how I play. I'm sort of an in-between the Berserker and the Long Ranger. I usually will carry a ton of meds, definitely. Normally, if I do not get meds, then I switch over to being a sniper and tactician, essentially. Sniper-wise, you won't really see them too often, but if you're going to come across Kar 98 is one of your better rifles. It's an old era World War II rifle, and it's a pretty darn good action, bolt action rifle. It's not the best. Normally, if you're going to be using the Kar 98, you better be hitting from long range, because there's no other way you're going to be getting in close. So suggestions for this sight, I would say go for the 4x at minimum, 8x if possible. Muzzle, I would go for a suppressor, and I would definitely go for the bullet loops rather than the cheek pad. Mainly because with the bullet loops you want to increase reload speed. It does not increase it that much, but it helps. I tell you that much for sure. The most powerful sniper you're going to get or see in this game will definitely be the AWM. This thing, when it hits, yeah, it's going to go through that armor. That level 3 armor that you just wore, boom. half of it will be gone after the first shot. If they manage to land the body shot on you, that armor's gone. If they manage to land a headshot, you're going to go down. I'm just going to tell you that right off the bat. You're going to go down. No matter what you... no matter what happens, you're probably going to go down. No matter what you have. You can have a level 2, level 3 helmet, you're going to go down. Level 2 helmet, you're probably going to still go down. Level 1, yeah, you're probably at that point dead. I don't think a motorcycle helmet can stop a bullet like that. The Win 94, I don't know why it's even considered a sniper rifle, but sure, I guess. But it's got a pretty high-end range, although it does not have any stocks. So mostly you're just going to run around with this thing. You might find it you mainly will find it in Miramar, from what I can tell. I rarely see this weapon in Air Angel, but it's a pretty good weapon to grab. I occasionally will grab it myself, only just because I know it has pretty good range. And although with iron sights, if you can aim just a little bit, you're good to go. I mean, it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a sight. Now, for Berserkers, this is very rare, but occasionally in drops, you will get to M249. Now, this thing is a ridiculous weapon. This thing is a ridiculous weapon. I'm not kidding. Let's just say this: the recoil on it is pretty much lost. Now, I prefer to use this as a short-range weapon, so at most, I'm only going to be putting a red dot on it, mainly because it's just really, really good at suppressing fire. So that's one weapon for Berserkers. Once you get higher up, and you're able to get, once you survive the initial 10-15 minutes of everybody trying to kill each other as they land, if you can start getting drops, you're more likely going to come across this weapon. The other weapon you're probably going to come across is the DP28. I do not suggest using this weapon, mainly because the firing speed is so slow. It's got a heavy load. It's heavy loaded, and it's hard to manage with the recoil, and it takes forever to reload. It does not really have any other way around it. It's a really slow weapon. It's great when you're running down the hill and just hip firing, sure, but most of your shots are not going to land on point. It's not that great. I don't really suggest this weapon for anybody, but if you can't come across the M249, go ahead and grab the DP28. It's a pretty good weapon. Pistols now, we're getting into pistols. The P92 9mm is a pretty good weapon to grab. Normally you want to grab this, and you're normally going to, if you're good, you're going to normally put a suppressor on it, and you should be able to put a red dot on it. Occasionally you might even get away with being able to get a quick draw onto that. Normally that's how you usually want your pistol to be set up, because it's a close range weapon. It's not going to be shooting that far. However, damage wise, I think the P1911 takes the cake for that one. The P1911 fires out a .45 caliber round. I find the P1911 to be much more versatile. I prefer using that, although I don't ever really put suppressors on it too much. If you want something with more damage, you go for the revolver. The revolver is great, however, as it's stated, you're only going to get 6 to 7 shots. That's it. That's all you got. It's not really the greatest weapon to use. It's fine, but I don't like grabbing it. As a matter of fact, I normally will never grab this weapon. You'll see me run by it more than often than not, and I'm just grabbing the 7.62mm. Now that's great if I'm grabbing the AKM too, but that's all I really ever grab. I don't ever grab this pistol. It's rare to see this on. It's kind of rare to actually see this weapon. You're more likely going to come across the P92 and P1911. The other weapon that I do like using is the P18C. It does only full auto. That's it. That's its only thing. It's a fully automatic 9mm pistol. Now, however, it doesn't do a lot of damage right off the bat, mainly because it is a 9mm weapon. However, you're going to be able to put more shots than you would with the P92. So it's recommended to grab, if you're going to get a pistol, grab the P18C, normally. Now, the other revolver, which is the R45, this is now more commonly seen on the Miramar map. I don't mind it. I like it. It's fine. I usually will put a red dot on it, but it doesn't even really need it. I don't mind the R45. It's just I prefer the other pistols. I prefer coming across the P18C or the P1911. Those are just my preferences. They're very good all around. The P1911 just has slightly more damage than the P92, mainly because of the caliber of the round. Last but not least is the 12 gauge shotgun, the sawn-off. Now this one, it's great. If you can get 2 shots straight off the bat into somebody's back, or you're running around, you put 2 shots into somebody, you're probably going to down them. And you'll probably manage to kill them. However, it's not great when you're in close quarters combat and you're in a sustained firefight. It just doesn't work out. It doesn't work out that well. You're probably going to run out of shells long before you get anywhere close enough to kill them, or long before you can even get enough damage into them. Lastly, I'm going to be covering is the pans. These are all pretty much great. However, overall, the main thing you want to be grabbing is and find is the pan. Reason for it, it's a legendary rank 4 armor. Nothing will penetrate the pan. Literally, this thing will save your ass more times than you can count. So if you ever find the pan, grab it. That's just the main thing. That's all I gotta say about the pan. Did I cover the snipers? Yeah, there's the SLR. It's a great weapon. I've actually gotten to use it. It's very, very much similar to the M14, the Mini 14. That's just my opinion. However, the Mini 14 does fire a little faster and has a much higher capacity over the SLR. But the SLR does have a lot more control. And I think they're about the same in range. It just doesn't fire as fast. Still a pretty good weapon overall. Still a pretty good weapon, but your mainstay weapons are going to be the SKS. And more than likely, you're going to probably come across a VSS rather than anything else. Very rarely will you actually come across this, but the MK14 is one of the better weapons. Mainly because of the fact that you can go from being a sniper rifle to being more of an automatic rifle. So it's really good for that. So you normally put a cheek pad, you put a quick draw on it. And I normally would probably be going for the compensator. Sight wise, I'd probably go with the 6X. So that's probably going to be my loadout for this weapon, mainly because it's got heavy recoil when you're going in automatic, but I rarely use it. This gun is rarely used. You only see it in airdrops, and it's rarely grabbed because people still prefer AKMs. So that just covers weapons wise and tips and tricks for playstyles for you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys all next time.